by demonstrations, by political pressure. But today, when you compare the number of women that graduate with PhDs or the number of women that get all A's in their scores, and you can see they have surpassed men in many cases, well, I suppose that myth is now gone, right? That they are more emotional and less rational. Nevertheless, if you believe that sentence as a director of a university or even as a regular male, you will behave towards women differently. And the same thing with stereotypes about race, the same thing with stereotypes about class, the same thing with stereotypes about professions, right? When you certain profession, oh well, he's a carpenter, so therefore must be someone of a lower class, and you start believing that. Now notice though how this perfectly reasonable proposal that it is beliefs, not perceptions, that are the means through which a stereotype shape behavior has been now completely obliterated in the media. At the beginning of the 20th century, the media, in that case newspapers and radio, talk about public opinion. Public opinion about the president has changed. Public opinion about the war has changed. Public opinion about the economy has changed. Today they talk about public perception. No one uses the word public opinion anymore. The perception of the public has changed. Why? Because this is the Kantian version. This is the Humean version. Hume lost, this one lost. Hume is the loser. So now everybody talks about this, but tell me this. When someone says, say not right now, but 3 years ago, you know, my perception of President Bush has changed. I used to like him and I don't like him anymore. Does he or she mean that when you look at Bush on the TV set, your actual perception, now you see the ears a little larger or the face a little weirder, has changed? Or your beliefs about Bush have changed? You know, you used to believe he was a fiscal conservative. Now you know that he squandered a surplus and now it went into a $1 trillion deficit. Your beliefs about Bush have changed. Yet, the word perception now is so entrenched into our everyday language. This is similar to what I was saying about Aristotle and the words specific and generic. They are now part of our everyday language. And once a philosophical position becomes part of everyday language, we tend to take it for granted. Today we tend to take for granted that Kant won and that there is no competition, period. Whereas I would argue, and Deleuze would argue, hell yes, there is competition. It's the competition of Hume. It's the competition of somebody who believes that perception is about intensities. Again, both external intensities and internal intensities. The intensity of hatred and love, and humiliation, feelings of humiliation and feelings of pride and so on. And that language enters into the equation because it shapes our beliefs and certain of our desires. The desires that are not about immediate things. For instance, I can right now desire pineapple, right? I just want some pineapple. I'm not desiring something after. I'm desiring that intensity, that's the flavor of pineapple that I can almost taste right now because I want it so much. So that would not be one of those desires because that would be a desire for an intensity. But when you desire to go to heaven, that is a propositional attitude. For one thing, because heaven doesn't exist. And when you desire to die as a martyr, because you're going to get 70 virgins in heaven. That's an even better one. Right? I really want to die as a martyr because, I want 70 virgins. Who has 70 virgins? And I know someone has 69 or 70. Well, I'm willing to bet that when those guys blow themselves up, there are no 70 virgins waiting for them in heaven or anywhere else. They're just dead. Nevertheless, that belief can guide your behavior and can make you desire martyrdom. Desire it really. Now, a more proper analysis of that, of martyrdom in Islamic extremism, would also have to put the material aspects into consideration, because many of those martyrs not only desire the 70 virgins in heaven, they are also being told that their families will be taken care of after they die. Their mothers, their wives, their children will be fed, will be given furniture, will be given a house and a roof on their, will be given material well-being. And that is part of what makes them commit suicide. The fact that they know they are not going to be leaving their families, to fend for themselves. So there is a little bit materiality there too. But the fact that they would blow themselves up because they believe in 70 virgins of heaven as a reward shows you that even the most outrageous beliefs that have nothing to do with reality can guide behavior. And to that extent, language is very important. It's very important for Hume too. It doesn't shape perception, but it shapes your attitudes towards the meaning of sentences, and that those attitudes shape behavior. And behavior is ultimately what counts. What you do in life, your actions, your social actions. Everybody knows, and there's expressions for this, that actions speak louder than words. Everybody knows that talk is cheap. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you're part of a community, imagine being part of a community that's a tightly knit community where everybody knows everybody else. We'll talk about that tomorrow when we talk about society. And you're constantly telling your neighbors, I'm solidary, man. I love this community. I have these feelings of solidarity for you people. I love you people. You're constantly telling that. And then the workers in the community go on strike, and someone has to go man the soup kitchens. Someone has to go help out the strikers, cooking things and serving things. And when they come to your house because it's your turn to do it, you go, I have to watch Friends. It's like my favorite episode. I can't go. At that moment, all your words about solidarity go to hell. Right? Your actions speak louder than your words. You either do it or you're a phony. And a phony is someone who's just shooting words out of his mouth without actually backing them up with action. So a human is somebody who's always and constantly stressing the activities that make a difference in your community life, the activities that change physical things around you. If you're an artisan, if you're a carpenter, if you're a metallurgist, if you're an artist, the one who's always emphasizing the know-how or embodied knowledge, material knowledge that allows you to be a musician, that allows you to be a painter, that allows you to be a dancer, that always is emphasizing the material aspects of things. But the human does not have to forget that there are beliefs about completely, outrageously non-existing things, like 70 virgins in heaven, that nevertheless can have a very material effect. A human bomb that explodes, and there go 150 people in a market, or there go 150 people in a hospital, or there go, there's a very specific material effect of that explosion, including the body of the suicide bomber. Guys, it's 7 o'clock. We can have more questions, if there are any.
Perhaps that's why, the previous question, that's why philosophers are living Kantians, because, talk is, as you said.
Talk is cheap.
Talk is cheap.
Well,
as simple as that.
a better way of putting that is that, and I don't want to be putting anybody down here, but working in the academy, working in a university, or to use the even more charged term, in an ivory tower, there's a term for that, disconnects you from action. And if you work in the protected and pampered surroundings, particularly if you're a male philosopher whose wife is taking care of the babies and doing all the material work at home, if you're Kant or you're Hegel, everybody had like 50s wives, right? Even not in the 50s. Then you don't have to come into contact with anything material. You come home, everything is fixed, almost by magic. The babies are growing, almost by magic. You don't even know who's taking care of any of that.